allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before I ask the superintendent to introduce our guest this evening, I'd first like to welcome our superintendent back. Wonderful to see him.
Hi out there.
He's hard to keep down. He's in working around the clock, and I know he's been keeping everybody going. So we're thrilled to see him, and thank you for being here.
I just need a patch for my eye, and then I'm ready.
Would you like to introduce our guest?
Sure. In the audience tonight, we have Pat Theodore from our Administrative Association. We have both Martha Shoemaker and Linda Brady. How are you? From the Federation of Classroom Teachers. And then in the back, I think Paul Petrone is here this evening. Hi, Paul. And welcome, everybody.
Thank you. With the board's permission, well, let's see, where are we on the consent? I think at this point, I would like to ask the board if they would agree. We have our 10th grade student here this evening with us that would normally be making a presentation under committee reports, but she has another engagement. Hannah Schoenberg, did I say your name properly? Would you like to come forward and give the board your report?
Good right there.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Schoenberg, and I'm here tonight to give a presentation on the class of 2015. I'm a sophomore at Waterford High School, and I went to Mr. Macrino recently to express my interest in serving on the Board of Education, and he advised me to come tonight and share a little bit about my class and our educational journey. The class of 2015 began our educational journey in 2002. The president at the time was George W. Bush, and at the time we had 5 different elementary schools here in Waterford: Cohansey, Great Neck, Oswegatchie, Quaker Hill, and Southwest. In our 4th grade year, we consolidated and began the redistricting process. Some Quaker Hill kids went to Cohansey, and others to Oswegatchie, and many, many more. In elementary school, the world was seemingly changing all around us, and we learned many different things. We learned how to read, write, do math, and we learned what an election was in 2004 when George Bush was re-elected as the President of the United States. We were also learning how to meet other people, the other 200 people that would eventually be joining our class and becoming our friends. In May of 2008, we started learning more and more about Clark Middle School, such as how to open our lockers and the very new theory and scary theory of the team system. In the fall of 2008, we started at Clark on 3 different teams: red, purple, and yellow. Yellow was the smallest, with only 2 classroom teachers. We had huge lockers in comparison, and lots of new technology, especially compared to our much older elementary schools. In the fall of 2008, we started getting a more vivid sense of how unique the election experience could be, as in November, President Barack Obama was elected. We studied basic math, ancient civilizations, language arts skills, matter, weather, ecosystems, and water quality. And in January of our 6th grade year, we were able to watch the inauguration of President Obama, which was a historical and very awesome experience. 7th grade started in the fall of 2009 with 3 teams: Silver, Sage, and Indigo. We were also introduced to the looping system, which was introduced the year that we were in 7th grade, when the Sage and Sapphire teams had the opportunity to have the same teachers for both 7th and 8th grade. We studied geography, pre-algebra, physics, the human body, the earth, food production, Romeo and Juliet, and so much more. My 7th grade English teacher, Mrs. Hanahan, thought a great way to wrap up our study of Romeo and Juliet would be to have a wedding for Romeo and Juliet, since they never had one in the play. We were all assigned different parts of the wedding, and we had to act it out. It truly helped us appreciate the book and all the extra energy that needed to be used in order for everyone in the area to be aware and to know what to do at the wedding. That year, we watched President Obama win the Nobel Peace Prize, the tragedy in Fort Hood, Texas, the horrible earthquake in Haiti, and the start of the Gulf oil spill. 8th grade began in 2010 with 3 teams: Sapphire, the looping team, Gold, and Emerald. This year, we studied either algebra or pre-algebra, biology, physics, the solar system, bridges, the outsiders, and American history. We were promoted in 2011 at Connecticut College, since Waterford High School was under construction. In other parts of the country, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy was repealed, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords was shot, and the Egyptian Revolution began. As the end of our middle school career was drawing to a close, we began to see the end of high school in a new way as we chose our classes for freshman year, which would in part determine how the rest of our high school career would pan out. Our freshman year at Waterford High School was kind of a tough one. We lost several alumni, staff members, and current students. Yet amidst all of the sadness, we were able to thoroughly enjoy our freshman year, doing very well in spirit week activities and enjoying dances. The boys' basketball team even managed to win the school's first state title on our freshman year. Many students tried all the different clubs that were offered in all the sports and got a sense of what life was truly like at Waterford High. This year began with a great excitement of the new building that was seemingly rising out of the ground right next door. Students are really excited for the move and all of the new technology that the school offers. They're also thrilled about the air conditioning and the climate control. We have learned to deal with random 5-day vacations in October and January and now realize how nice those are. The end of our time here in Waterford seems to inch closer and closer, but we are trying to prepare for it in the best way possible. In order to prepare for tonight, I compiled a survey for my class. Unfortunately, only 30 out of the 217 students responded, so I tried to get it out in many ways. However, of the people that responded, 18 were female, 11 were male, and 1 person opted out of answering that question. 20 were 15, 8 were 16, and 20 are 16 or older. 21 play a sport at school, and 9 do not. 7 are involved with music, and 23 are not. 23 take Spanish, 3 take French, 3 take Latin, and 2 don't take language at all. 16 or more take 1 or more honors classes, and 13 don't take any. 16 participate in clubs, and 14 do not. 27 plan on attending college, and 3 are a maybe. I also asked them what was one word that would best describe you. I got some interesting responses, some that were more than 1 word, but can't win them all. Some people would describe themselves as kind, funny, radical, amazing, caring, positive, weird, thoughtful, helpful, good sense of humor, outgoing, witty, friendly, awkward, graceful, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, smart, kind, caring, sociable, amazing, determined, outgoing, and awesome. A lot of kids are really excited about going to the new school, but most of all they're excited about it being clean, the new technology and the better bathrooms, the food, the bathrooms, the more space, the heating and air conditioning, new everything, air conditioner, nicer stuff, the school, it's bigger and has more places to socialize, an opportunity to make a new difference in the very just community in the world, the climate control, the clocks will have the correct time, the bathrooms, learning new and interesting things, clean bathrooms, lunchroom, it will be nice and clean and pretty, the new school will be clean, cafeteria, auto room, bathrooms, the new cafeteria, clean and it's clean. So I don't want you to get off on the idea that the custodial staff isn't doing their job, because I promise they are. But I think that it's just kind of been worn out over the years, and there's stuff that they can't fix. But overall, I think that kids are really excited to go to the new school, and we're getting really close. So thank you so much for letting me come tonight and share a little bit about my class.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Hannah publicly, and I'm sure you jogged all of our memories and gave us a really clear and good picture of your class, and we thank you for that. Thank you. We do still have time for public comment. Hannah, please feel free to.
I know you have a concert tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you. If there's, this is your opportunity. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment. Martha? Hi.
The Waterford Federation of Classroom Teachers has asked if I present you with a letter, which I have given Mr. Blair copies of before the meeting. Teachers, after we were asked to make up the day on February 19th, teachers began to ask if we could make up some other days. And we made up another survey and asked them for some feedback. So this letter goes over the questions that we asked on the survey. The second survey. Some are very similar to what we asked about the February vacation days. But also, we just want you to know that the teachers are really interested in trying to get as much in before AP exams. We've already had 8 days of interruption this year, and we really would like to kind of keep going. So if we could use some other opportunities to make up some days before June, we would greatly appreciate it. You're not going to have an answer for us tonight, but if we could open some discussion on some ways that we could possibly do it. And the one way that is right up is their first choice was that if we could either eliminate the professional development day in March and continue on with studies, or at least make it a half a day for students, and then we could do professional development in the afternoon. And those are the first two choices, so we just would appreciate your looking at it.
Okay. Thank you, Martha. And since we just received this, we'll take it under review, and we'll also forward this to our superintendent. Thank you. Let's see. Are there any other comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll move to our enjoyable part of the evening. We always like to recognize our students, and we have 2 students tonight that will be recognized. Mr. Miller, would you like
We
to
have
introduce
2 of
them?
our students who attend both Quaker Hill and Great Neck Elementary School who have participated in a competition recently, and both of our principals are here this evening to recognize their students along with their families, and I'll have them provide some background, and then we can all take the opportunity to applaud these 2 young people.
Good evening, everyone. I know you know Connie Herman. She's been our fire safety instructor in Waterford for several years, and she teaches our K through 5 students fire safety, and every year she presents a poster contest to our 4th and 5th graders. So we're here tonight, and it's actually sponsored by several other organizations in the state. So we're here tonight. One of our 4th graders, Maya Ram, will take her to school. She's in the shoemaker's class. She's here with her proud mom and dad, Melissa and Brian, and her brother Austin. But her poster was selected for the county, and it's now at the fair plan in East Hartford. And the state winner will be announced at a luncheon on March 27th. But Maya's poster, you can't see the masterpiece. I just want to describe it to you. It's a picture of 2 children, and they're holding a banner, and it says, "Call under smoke." And there's a younger child actually crawling under the smoke. So when I asked her what motivated her to, choose that picture, she said it was because it was a lesson that she learned in kindergarten, and it gets set for safe. And so that's a great idea, Maya. We love it. Not to mention your perfect coloring. I can see why it was selected. So I'm very proud of you, and good luck in the country. Maya.
Maya, before you go away, we have a little recognition for you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Maya. Very proud of you. This is a certificate of appreciation from the Board of Education in recognition of your outstanding participation in the New London County Fire Prevention Poster Contest Competition. And I hope we get to see the poster. We'd love to, and signed by our superintendent of schools. Oh, excuse me.
Maya's right there. I'm sorry.
Jodi, would you mind shaking hands?
I just grabbed the wrong one.
They both say the same thing.
There you go. We have a picture. Maya, do it all the way. Nice. There we go. There you go.
Oh, we have a copy.
We have a copy.
Oh, good, we have a copy.
All right. That's great. So, Ms. Fedor, you have a student that you'd like to recognize?
I know those of you really honest about this. This is a copy. I'd like to introduce you, Marlon Miller from Great Neck School.
school, which we love New London Strong Food Center, and will be recognized just again at the same month as London just mentioned. Isabella has a slogan here. It says fire prevention, everyone, every day. And Isabella, can you tell us the three things that you felt were the most important?
Well, this is a fire alarm house. And we have school on the wall, and this is the fire.
Nice job. And Isabella here with her mom, Maria Portella. Her dad, Keith, is not here tonight, but her brother, Matthew, is here.
All right, now.
Real good to hear. Congratulations.
And again, you are receiving a certificate of appreciation from the Board of Education, signed by myself and our superintendent, Mr. Baylor. Congratulations. I know the elementary school will be very proud, but I know that
Very nice.
And you know what? It's okay if you need to get home for homework or get ready for tomorrow. It's perfectly fine. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll give you a moment.
Nice work. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. That brings the board to our consent agenda. Are there any comments or questions concerning the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the January 24th regular meeting, the January 17th special meeting, the monthly expenditure report for January 2013, and our food service report for December 2012. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, would someone like to make a motion? Thank you, Kevin. Is there a second? Second by Jodi. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. That takes us right to reading and review of correspondence.
I had one item of correspondence that I wanted to call to your attention. You have a copy of a letter from Ed Murphy from the Recreation and Parks Commission recommending and supporting both to the Board of Education as well as to the School Building Committee the strong consideration for an irrigation system for the practice fields and the baseball field at Waterford High School. I also shared with you a copy of my response to Mr. Murphy, and this has also been forwarded to the School Building Committee. This has been an ongoing item that we've discussed at each of our School Building Committee meetings, and this is one of the areas that we're considering if there are funds remaining at the end of the project. So we've talked about this over the past 2 years. We have it on a running list of some items that, if we can, we'd like to. That's the only communication that I have to share with you this evening.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Belair, for sharing the response with the Board of Ed, and I think we'll be just waiting to see how that what occurs at the end of the project. Thank you. I just have a letter from Scholarship. I don't know whether you received this on the safety, and I think you might bring us up to date, but I'll leave that for you as well. And then that's really the only other correspondence. I believe the board has received all of the CABE correspondence, and I'm sure Kevin will tell us a little more about that. That will bring us right to our superintendent's report.
Thank you. I thought I guess the best way to begin tonight is just take a look at the work around the classroom from around the conference room for the students from Great Neck. And I want you to know, Mrs. Feeder, I have had such a great time in reading what the students think the principal does on any given day.
Oh, yes.
And I just thought I'd just read a couple just as highlights. And I think both Mr. Powers and I will be spending a little bit more time at the school. But one of them indicates that you're in your office exercising. Mrs. Feeder walks around Great Neck School making sure everybody is safe. She goes to meetings. I have seen Miss Fedor at Stop and Shop. Get her and her son's food to eat. She walks around the school to find out if people are working. The principal is fantastic. This was written by your husband. She dazzles me with outfits and shoes. Every time she comes in our classroom, I'm happy, but I think she walks around the school a lot. I want you to know, which is the first item that I wanted to report on, is that we've been engaged in some different administrative searches, and today we were interviewing for the principalship at Waterford High School, and one of the things we placed in the waiting area as the candidates were waiting to be interviewed were many of these samples, and we could hear from this room a number of chuckles. But it's great when you take a look at the fire prevention posters that are around the room and some of the writing samples, and anything you ever wanted to know about what Mrs. Streeter does, right out there in front from all of the kids. So I just wanted to give you an update as to where we are with some of our administrative searches. We had 25 candidates that applied for the principalship at Waterford High School. 13 of those 25, we conducted what we call a snapshot interview, about a 30-minute. We were intrigued by their resume and their application, and we wanted to learn more, so we met with those candidates for good half hour to get a sense how well did the person match the resume. And then from that, we selected 6 candidates to come in and meet with the search team. And on that team, we have 2 students, we have 2 parents, we have 4 teachers, we have 3 or 4 administrators. George Sawchuk, our HR director, and both Craig and I serve in an ad hoc capacity on that committee. One of the 6 took another position during the process. So over the last 2 days, we have interviewed 5 semifinalists. At the end of today, we reviewed all of those candidates. We've narrowed that field, and next week our administrative team will meet with those candidates to advise me as to who they think would be the best candidate for Waterford High School. And then we're scheduled in March. And March starts Friday, so early in March we're scheduled to meet with the recommended candidate and then appoint that individual during the month of March so that he or she can begin in May alongside of Mr. Macrino and really have a good 6 or so weeks to really get to know the staff, the parent community, the students, and spend some time in the new school. So we're very excited about the quality of candidates. We finished around 5 o'clock this afternoon. We've met some great people, and we've had an outstanding committee of folks, staff, parents, students, administrators, and our number one goal in all of this is to find the very best match for Waterford High School. So we're moving right along in the process, and I'll have a recommendation for you over the next couple of weeks. Sitting in the audience tonight since our last meeting, you know that Nancy Massioni has announced her retirement, and Nancy has just been exceptional, and in the short time I've been here, Nancy, I've said to you numerous times, you're a real pro, and how much I've enjoyed working with Nancy. So we have posted that position and internally, and I think it was this afternoon or yesterday, I've lost track of time, we have posted that externally. And I think we have the closing as of April 5th. Just as we did with the high school, we used the entire faculty for a focus group. We surveyed the parents, we surveyed the students at the high school. I'm not sure we're going to survey the students at the elementary school, but we're certainly going to involve the staff and the parents, identifying the qualities and traits that we're looking for in the next principal, and we'll also assemble a search committee very similar to what we did at the high school. We'll have parents, we'll have staff, and some of our administrators serving in that capacity. And then the candidates will meet with the administrative team and eventually with the board. So that's underway. And also we have Lynn Lynch, who has announced her retirement as assistant principal over at Clark Lane Middle School. So we're following the same timeline that we're following with Oswagachi. So it's been posted internally, and it is now posted externally. And again, looking at a closing date in that early part of April, and again, a building level committee with Mr. Sachs as principal will be formed, and we'll go through that process. So we will have a busy spring. But I was very pleased with the candidates that we attracted for Waterford High School, so we're excited. The other thing that I just wanted to call to your attention, and we will firm up the date soon. What we're conferring with are a couple of officials to have them be part of the ribbon cutting. We're looking at either Saturday, April 13th, or Saturday, April 20th, for the ribbon cutting of the Waterford High School. We're looking at doing this in the morning, maybe the 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock time. We'll get you all of the details around that, and then have opportunities for the community to stop in throughout the day on Saturday, take some tours, really get a sense of the school. But we really think a Saturday would fit the community the best, so we're really not excluding anybody. And so we've been working very closely with Mr. Macrino and his staff to really try to design what that ribbon cutting will look like. And my hope is that all of you can be there. Furniture is, just about all of it has arrived. It's being assembled. The classrooms are looking like real classrooms. It's very, very exciting. Promethean boards are up in every classroom, really making some great progress. And as Hannah mentioned, it's just around the corner. I mean, we're talking 6 weeks. So we're excited about that. And lastly, I just wanted to share with you that in partnership with our police department, we've been engaged in security audits at each of our schools, and coming out of that process are some recommendations to strengthen security within our schools. So we've been at work with that. So we do have a busy month of meetings in March. We do have a board meeting on the 27th. We present our budget to the Board of Finance on the 20th. We also have a date in there to interview high school principal candidates. So it's really important that you circle those dates, and we'll continue to remind you in our Friday note. And then lastly, just around the corner, we have a China trip that's leaving at the end of March. We have 8 students with 4 adult chaperones, and we're very excited about that opportunity. So that's all I have to report to you.
Thank you. Jodi, did you want to make a comment?
Just had a dance.
We're working on it.
They have the dance. They're having the dance recital. Just so everybody knows.
I've been in contact, and she's very, very busy. And when things settle down for her, we'll set up a time for her to come in and go down and up.
I'd just like to back up for a moment because I didn't know you were going to mention Dr. Mazzioni's retirement tonight, and I'd just like to say to you, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to speak from the board, but I think I speak for the entire board when I say that you've been a consummate professional over the years, and it's just been wonderful. It'll be very hard to replace you. So I know the team's going to have to do an excellent job to find the principal of your caliber. And we just want to make that thank you to you publicly, but I'm sure we'll have, as I said, another opportunity. And I know Mrs. Lynch is not here today, but I know the board feels strongly that we're going to have some really difficult replacement, big shoes. But thank you, Nancy, on behalf of the entire board. Thank you. I don't want to... You get emotional sometimes, too, so I don't want to carry on. That takes us to our committee and other reports. I know we have a few, so I know Jodi's always
I'll
gentle
start.
lady. Do you want to start?
I'm going to start, Jodi. So we'll give you a little break. You can catch up on all the things you have to do. The one advantage of being chair of the board, by the way, is to be able to steal the thunder from other people who are going to say the same thing, Nancy. So a couple of things. March is Board Appreciation Month, and that does start tomorrow, because Friday is tomorrow.
No hint.
The most appreciation this board can get is just seeing the staff and the quality of the education that comes out from the school, and that really is thanks to us enough. I have here from my notes / Kathleen's notes. For the CAVE convention in November, they're always looking for talent to put forward. And I remember a couple of years ago I had mentioned, but I really couldn't put it forward because my son was in it, was the jazz band from Waterford, of which I am going up to hear them Saturday up at Berkeley, because I'll be performing up at Berkeley on Saturday. And I think it's something that we should consider putting forward. whether it be the choir, the jazz choir, or the jazz band, whatever. It would be nice to see Waterford be represented. I just can't vote on it, that's all.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you. Also, if you don't mind, with the Cade, the Day on the Hill is March 6th, right? If anyone's interested in going up there, and then the public hearings on Monday in the Education Committee. A lot of different bills being introduced again, so that's for public, anyone who's available on those dates. Also, may I, Kevin, you can clarify this, I'm sure, and I know our administrators are always out ahead on this. The CAVE offers the Student Leadership Awards again, and I think to go on to the middle school. You've done, that's been done, so great, thank you. Jodi?
Okay, well, Jerry's pretty much spoke about the high school. They have all the new furniture there, and they're working on getting a dance room. And let's see, it's coming along really well. I was really impressed with the lobby during the basketball games. It's just beautiful, and I saw a lot of the new equipment, Jay, that you bought for the floors and everything. And Christine Littlefield was there polishing everything up, and it just looks really nice. I'm really proud of it. So that's, and I'm glad that Jerry spoke about the open house that we're trying to have, and I hope the whole community goes, because it's really a school to be proud of. It would be better if it had a dance room, but. Okay, then Youth Service Bureau, we had a meeting last night.
Jeff side, I forgot to tell you.
Okay, we had a meeting last night, and as everybody knows, because of the blizzard and everything, they were very busy. And their Snow Stuff program works very well. They had people there, children there, 3 to 4 days. The parents were really appreciative that the Youth Service Bureau offered that. Aaron's after-school programs are working very well. The one that deals with physical fitness is very well attended. Andre Parker came in and he talked to the students. Cheryl Thurlow from Gabrielle's Karate came in and spoke to them. And one of our celebrities, a graduate from Waterford High School, Zach Hurd, he's involved with the NFL football. He played for UConn. He's going to come in and talk to the children, so I think they're going to really like that. They had to add 2 sessions for the photography class because it's so, they had so many children interested in that, and Karen Schlink is teaching that class. And on Thursdays, their new offering is journaling, and the children are going to make their own journals, and write their own journals rather, so that should work out really well. And also it would help with school and the mastery test and everything too, having them do the writing. The Youth Service Bureau is going to have So You Think You Can Dance. We have a lot of teachers participating in it this year and other town councils. And that's going to be on April 26th at 7 o'clock at the high school. We're only charging $2 for the ticket. And I hope I think a lot of students are going to go because they want to see their teachers dance. So that'll be really good. The flyers are going to be going out in mid-March. Let's see. On March 15th and 16th, I told you about the dance recital at the high school. Christine has been working diligently since September about getting the Wade grant again. It'll be another 5-year grant, and she's been working very hard on that. It's $100,000 for the next 5 years. And I hope, I just hope she gets it, because we would lose her, if we didn't. And she does a phenomenal job with, Wade. And what they're concentrating on this year is prescription drugs. Also, underage drinking, but it's mostly prescription drugs, and also marijuana usage. So those are the 3 topics that they've been honing in on. And I think that's it. They're looking forward to the new high school, as I mentioned, the new high school and the ceremony we're going to have. So.
Thank you, Jodi.
You're welcome. And we didn't have an early childhood meeting.
No, it was canceled. Any other committee reports? I would just mention that the Waterford Education Foundation will have its annual spelling bee on March 26th. I don't think it's too late, Jim, right, for sponsorship. We have, I just have another team coming for it. I'll be announcing to them. But in the past, the board, I don't know if the administrator signed up this year, but in the past we've done, if not this year, we'll continue to support the foundation. But good luck. That's at 7 o'clock, March 26th. Thank you. And I think that's it for, policy. Mr. Powers and I, we're going to be picking up our policy committee meeting, just to let you know. We'll be doing multiple policy committee meetings in the future. That brings us to our new business.
Kathleen and I thought that, we're just a little bit past the mid-year point, but we thought it would be beneficial if we just kind of gave an update as to where we are with the goals that the board set. And this is one of the outcomes from our July workshop retreat, where we talked about, rather than waiting to the very end of the year, but if we looked at kind of mid-year through how we were doing and what the game plan was for the remainder of the year. And quite frankly, our professional staff is all going through the mid-year point with their professional growth goals and whatnot, so it's probably very timely for us. So you have a copy of a PowerPoint presentation in front of you, and I'm going to do the best I can with my left hand. I've really been working at it. So we established 7 goals. On the board here, they look rather small, so we're going to take one individually and just kind of give you an update as to where we stand. But we adopted these goals coming out of our summer workshop. Thank you. So I'm going to turn to the page and we'll take a look at where we are goal by goal. So the first thing that we talked about was how do we know we're a successful school system? That was one of really the big goals that we wanted to start to work on. And we said that this would be a multiple-year goal. And, we do reports around CAP and CMT and college acceptance and a variety of things, but we also talked about there's more than that. And when people ask us, are we a good school system, when we respond, yeah, what do we have to support that? So you saw in your packets last week one of the articles that we're taking a look at. In addition to that, we have some additional literature from David Conley out of Oregon, which has really devoted his professional career to this topic. And that's something that we will continue to talk about between now and the end of the year, and we'll make sure that we have this on one of our agendas so that we can start to have some public conversation around this particular goal.
I think on this goal, that the board really, when we established this goal, we were really already meeting a lot of what we were trying to say that we needed to accomplish with, I know our guidance person came in, Kelly Shannon, and that showing us with Naviance being able to track our students later after graduation, that will be some useful information to show how successful we're doing. Are we meeting all the benchmarks for college readiness and preparedness? So I think this goal will be an ongoing one. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we said that, or I think some of the board wanted to see if we could have a tool at the end, a template of some sort, so that will still be an ongoing measure.
And one of the items that we also talked about is, do we want to really take some time and talk to our graduates when they come back at Thanksgiving, after they've graduated from Waterford High School, and do some interviews with students and just find out how they're doing, how well did the Waterford Public Schools prepare them for their next challenge. So those were some of the things that we talked about.
I think that with technology today and the tools that we have, and if we perhaps get that information out early, right when the freshmen come in, that we'll be tracking later after you graduate, that after so many years we'll be able to really see the measurement. But seems to me, just from hearsay, that I believe this district is really doing a good job in preparing our students for college.
With Goal 2, we identified the continued support of our professional development initiative within the district. And we identified kind of the big 3. But we talked about providing the necessary time, so the resources of time and funding where appropriate. And so if you just kind of take a look at this, we have 2 professional development days set aside. We've already had the November, and we have a March date scheduled. We have the partnership with the regional professional development for our non-core teachers, our special subject area staff. We also have a professional learning community structure within our district, and we have a great deal of collaboration and sharing of practice with our staff on an ongoing basis. And then from time to time, we will also pool teachers from a grade level or a subject area and provide them with release time on a student workday that's related to professional development. We keep track, well, probably good. We keep track of the professional development experiences that our staff are engaged in, and so you can see here the quantity of hours. Now again, keep in mind, we had a release day back in November, and we had our entire district of professional staff involved, and so that contributes to some of the very large numbers. So when you look at effective teaching and instruction and 895 hours, a good example of that would be our middle school and high school staff coming together in the core subject areas to learn more about the depth of knowledge connected to the Common Core. And so we know with mathematics, that's a critical area with the implementation of our new curriculum. The area of technology, especially moving into a new high school, how do we continue to support staff so they can best utilize those tools? And we've created a trainer of trainers model, so that Craig has organized staff throughout the district to be trained, and then they in turn will train their colleagues, whether it's at their grade level or their subject area. So you can see listed here a number of areas that our staff has been involved in professional development. So there's approximately been 100 activities with over 1,200 hours thus far this school year. With Goal 3, it's really around Board of Education policies, the need to upgrade and renew a number of policies. It's critical with new legislation that would be up to date. And then there are other policies that were built in at the end of a year or at the end of 2 years that the board would review and monitor to see how well that policy has been implemented. So our policy subcommittee currently has 5 members. It met on September 27th, October 25th, and December 6th. There are 12 policies that this committee has identified this year. 5 have been reviewed and approved by the board thus far.
If I may, I'd like to just recognize that Mr. Powers is really very diligent on this, and that we will be meeting even more often than what we have in the past, and that there's plenty of new policies coming out. So I think the policy committee will be right on track to meeting the goal. But additionally, aside from just looking at what's coming out of the state, we're also reviewing our past. If we have time, we're going to look back and upgrade and update some of our past policies. So that goal I'm not worried about.
So you can see here the 5 in bold that have been accomplished thus far, and the 7 that remain that you've identified for your agenda for this school year. You appear to be on track. The other thing that we talked about during our retreat last year was to really develop, with kind of used and looked at some tools that Kate has provided in other organizations, and you really felt as a board that you really wanted to develop something on your own. And so I believe, Kathleen, you've identified 3 members that are going to work on this to come up with a tool.
I did, and in a note recently to the board, there's room for more. If another board member would like to be part of that, would be just putting a tool that makes sense to this board. In particular, Kate's assessment tool is useful, but it didn't really meet what we were looking to accomplish. So it wouldn't require too much just to sit down and have a tool at the end of the year that we can use to self-assess. Everybody's doing surveys out there, so we want to be sure that we're...
And we really wanted to try to use this for ourselves this July when we come together.
Right.
And then looking at Goal 5, we had talked about it involving our students more in the Board of Education meetings. So thus far this year, we've had the pleasure of having the senior class president, the junior class president, and then tonight we had a sophomore representative come to bring the board up to speed with things that have been happening in their lives at Waterford High School. And then in addition, we had 2 exceptional students participate in our search committee process at Waterford High School. They were absolutely exceptional. They participated in all the debriefing. And when there may have been some disagreement on a particular candidate, what was amazing is the 2 students saying, I saw that a little bit differently. And they were very, very comfortable. And I have found involving students in the selection of teachers as well as administrators has been eye-opening, because you want to really look to see the connection that those candidates make with our students. And they took it very seriously. They dressed very professionally, and they let us know how well prepared they now are for their first job interview. But this has been a goal that we've talked about in a way to integrate this, and I think we're right on track with that over the course of this year. In Goal 6, we talked about the opportunity to continue to enhance our communication with other town boards, and we would try to keep them informed on an every 3 or 4 month basis. And the other part of that was continue to explore some cost efficiency so that we can hold on to the educational programs that we value so much. So just as an update, we've had a presence at Board of Finance meetings throughout the course of this year. We invited Board of Finance members and RTM members to our workshops. And we've identified 19 financial efficiencies that we've been working on. So these are just some of the highlights. Kathleen and I met with the Board of Finance back in July at the close of the fiscal year and looking ahead to the new year, and we'll do that again in June of 2013. I, along with Ron Melnick at the time, we met with the Board of Finance back in November, and we talked about the savings that we've accrued in our health insurance budget, a line item within our budget, and the guarantee that we'd be returning $550,000 to the town, as well as we talked about where we were in November with the current budget we were in, and looking at some forecasting where we thought we might be short and where we might have a little surplus as a result of some of the work that we've been doing. And so certainly involving our other town boards in our budget workshops. And then also we've been engaged in 2 finance committee meetings from the Board of Ed thus far this year. What you see here, and we shared this and we discussed this tonight in our finance committee. So on the left, the areas that we've already realized, and that was the second part of this goal, is where can we be more cost effective, where can we be more efficient, and how can we contain some of the costs. So really running down the left-hand side, these are the 8 areas that really have amounted to some significant savings in the operations of our public schools. And then on the right are some areas that we will continue to explore. And we're at work at these as we speak. Some of them will be realized during the next school year and some the following year. But you really need to do some advanced planning. So one of the things we're looking at is with our copier services, really looking at that whole expenditure, and is there a better way? Can we renegotiate that particular service? We're looking at the possibility, when you think of some of our out-of-district expenditures for transportation, might it make sense for us to actually buy our own vans and provide our own transportation service? This is something that I'd like to talk to the Board of Finance about when we present our budget. We will continue to promote the health savings account through our negotiations. This is one of the options for our other employee groups, and we'll do a recruiting for that particular plan come April. We're also looking at some additional regional transportation, not only for our special education students, but also with our Bow Tech schools and magnet schools. We've been in conversation with both East Lyme as well as New London. We're also looking at some selective cooperative transportation, where we may be transporting a student to an out-of-district placement. Could we also include a student from Montville or New London or East Lyme where it's appropriate, and we share that particular cost? You know, in the budget that we've added to our autism services here in district, we'll continue to explore ways that we can bring programs back into the district. We still have an additional union that we will have conversation with around our health insurance. We have 2 unions that we're currently in conversation with that we hope to resolve this school year around the plan design. We also feel it's to our advantage, even though we had a very successful bid with electricity a little over a year ago, that the rates have dropped further. And let's take that contract back out to the market and go with a blended rate. And what that means is we pay some of what we're being charged now, but also some of the lower rate. So we're going to explore that. We're also going to take some time at our March Board of Education meeting and have a presentation on solar heating. And we know that we can save some dollars in our parking lots by just making the transition to LED lighting. Those could be some significant dollars, by the way. But also looking where might we do some solar heating in some of our schools, and looking at the long-term savings with no cost to the district at all. So we have two members of this particular firm that we've spent a great deal of time with coming to the board in March to do a presentation. So it'll be an opportunity to start to have that discussion with some financial proposals as well. So those are the areas, and we know when we really analyze all of our energy costs that one of the areas that we want to continually take a look at is Clark Lane Middle School. That's one of the projects that we weren't able to do the geothermal with. And so is there a way to really try to contain some of those energy costs? There are some great systems in place when they went through the renovation, but there are also some new technologies and perhaps some new opportunities. So those are the areas that we've identified to support this particular goal. And then lastly, one of the things that the board wanted to do was to be sure that we continue to work on what we already set for ourselves a year ago. And that really was continuing our communication with other boards, continue to be transparent, continue to look at corporate sponsorships, as well as some of our programs. We know we've just implemented world language with the new curriculum, and maybe down the road we'll have the opportunity to expand either to other language or to the younger grades. So that's really an update as to where we are, pretty much just past the mid-year point with the goals that you established.
Thank you, Mr. Belair, and if I may, for the full board to know that the Finance Committee was very pleased to receive this report tonight from the superintendent and from our Finance Director, Phil Russell, and Phil, if you don't mind, said to me at the meeting that really he has been requested to look at every single area of our budget and to look for every single cost efficiency that we could possibly find. So the work was really well done, and I think we're very pleased to see these new initiatives and ways that we can even continue to save money so that our programs continue to move with excellence and that we continue to have a district that's moving forward. And it's really a credit to the both of you to be really taking this on, and we're excited to look at this, and I know the board will have more of an opportunity to discuss some of these areas in the meetings to come. So thank you very much, and I'm sure the board feels pretty good that it looks like going through all of these goals that we're doing well and we're on target, and that by the end of the year. Now, Paul, you're back there, so I just may say one thing about corporate sponsorship. That was put on, that was not as ongoing. We looked at that back a few years back when we thought we really needed to find new ways. It's not off the radar, but it's something that's not a goal that we're actively, we're going to continue to investigate it for future time, but it's not our goal for this year. Just wanted to clarify that. It's an ongoing progress. Okay. Does the board have any comments on the goals? We'll meet again, naturally. We'll have our...
And in March, we'll also get an update on the solar piece, so that will be helpful.
Right, and then we will, in June, we'll have another opportunity to look how much we've accomplished with these goals and set new goals for the next coming year. But thank you very much. That nice group, and thank you for the introduction. Jodi.
So I just wanted to compliment both of you. So I'm really, really impressed with the savings that you found this year. And it's going to just make our school system better, and maybe we can offer more things to the students by doing this. And we're also saving the town a lot of money, and I hope they appreciate it. I hope they appreciate all the hard work.
Thank you, Jodi.
So we have an item on the agenda that will require your approval as it does annually, and that's the Healthy Food Certification Statement.
Right. And this we do every year. And we authorize the superintendent to sign that. So may I have a motion to accept the Healthy Food Certification Statement for 2013-14 school year? Jodi? Who said that? David. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can move to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. At this time, I believe we will take a motion to go into executive session and invite Craig and Jean. Jodi?
Before we do, I just wanted to let everybody know that our Waterford High School boys basketball team, they have a state game this coming Tuesday, March 5th at 7 o'clock. I forgot to mention that before. And then also, Waterford Patch had a great article about our Youth Service Bureau's toddler playgroup.
Okay.
And I'll make copies for everybody so you can read it, and I'll ask Joyce to put it in the next packet. But it's a very nice article. Good job, Paul. Even though you didn't write it, I know you're a scientist, but it was a nice article.
Thank you. All right. I don't believe we took, I did not get the motion. Oh, I did get the motion from David, right? You said the motion to go into executive session?
No, we didn't have it.
Okay, so I did not have the motion. That's what I thought. I need a motion to go into executive
Motion to go
session.
into executive session.
Second by Tim. Okay, we'll give time for everyone, and I think, Jean. Thank you, Mr. Brown.